What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how you can solve the 3x3 Rubik's Cube blindfolded. Now, you're probably thinking, that sounds impossible. But today I'm going to show you a simple, beginner-friendly method that anyone can learn. So, are you ready? Let's get right into it. So before we start, let's go through some blindfolded basics. Firstly, blindfolded solving is split into two phases. First off is memo or memorization, where you look at the scrambled cube and memorize it. Then you would put on your blindfold and solve the cube using your predetermined memorization. And then when you're done, hopefully you've solved the cube. One more important thing is that you always want to hold the cube the same way every time you do 3x3 blindfolded or any blindfolded event. So for me, that would be white top, green front, but you can choose whatever orientation you want. Just be consistent. And in this tutorial, I'll be using green front and white top. Let's start with execution. We don't solve layer by layer, because you can't track all those pieces after every move. Instead, what we do is we solve one piece at a time, starting with edges, and then we'll do corners. For edges, we use a buffer piece, which would be the UF edge, or for me, that's the red and white edge. And specifically, we're using this sticker, so the white sticker of red and white. And what we do is we repeatedly swap this piece, which we call the buffer, with the target, which is this piece right here. And specifically, it's the white sticker on this orange and white edge. To do the swap, we use a standard T-perm from PLL, which goes like this. R, U, R prime, U prime, R prime, F, R2, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, F prime. And as you can see, we've swapped this edge with this edge, or the buffer with the target. So how does edge swapping work? After doing the swap, a new unsolved edge will appear here in the buffer. Then we swap that with where it needs to go. To reach the new piece and swap with it, we use setup moves. So for example, right here, this piece in the buffer, we have the white of orange white, that needs to go right here, and specifically this piece right here, and that is already the target. So what we do is we just swap with the T-perm. Now that this is solved, we have a new piece here in the buffer. So what we have is the green of green and orange, and that will go right here. So what we do is we move it up with a setup move, just like that, swap, and then move it back. We're undoing the setup move, and now that's solved, and we have a new piece here. It's the blue of blue and orange. That will be right there. So we just swap to that, and then undo the setup move, and now it's solved. And it's very important that your setup moves only include L moves, L wide moves, D moves, or D wide moves. Otherwise, you could be messing up the pieces you've already solved, and we obviously don't want that. So here we have an example for edge solving. Here we have our buffer, which is green and yellow, but specifically the green, a green yellow, which should be right there. And we can set that up to our target by doing a D prime, an L, D wide, and then an L prime. Then we can swap and then undo those setup moves. Then we get the green of green orange in the buffer right here, and that goes right here. So we just move that piece up with an L move, swap, move it back down. Next, we have this blue and orange piece, but the blue of that piece, which would be right there, that's another easy setup. Then a swap with T-perm, and then back. Now we have the red of red green, which goes right here. Pretty easy setup as well. Swap and then undo. Next we have, this is right here, the yellow of yellow and red, right here. Set it up, swap, bring it back. Now that's solved. Then we have this piece, which is the yellow of yellow orange. That's right here. That's very easy to set up. Then a swap, and then bring it back. Then we have this piece, which goes right there, because that's the white of white and blue, which is right there. We can set that up and bring it to the bottom, over, up, swapping, and back. But now, as you can see, the buffer is actually in the right place. So what we do when the buffer is in the right place is we pick any unsolved piece. So that can be this piece or that piece. I'll choose this piece, it'll be easier. So I just swap to get that piece in, right there. Then that piece goes there. That's like that. Like that. And then that piece goes over. And now we're done. Another thing that can happen is that there's a flipped piece. And if there is just a flipped piece left, that means that this piece is in the right place, like the buffer is in the right place, which means that we just do the same thing. Pick any unsolved piece. This is not solved because it's not facing the right direction. So we just pick that, swap to it, and then solve it like normal. So that would be there. And for corners, we do the exact same thing, except we have a different swapping algorithm, a different target, and a different buffer, and different setup moves. So the buffer for corners is this sticker right here, the orange of orange, white, and blue. And the target is this piece right here, which is the yellow of green, red, and yellow. And the swapping algorithm is a modified Y perm without the first and last F move. So it goes like this. R, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, F prime, R, U, R prime, U prime, R prime, F, R. And now we can see that these two pieces, that one and that one, have swapped. Just like that. And for setup moves, they are a little bit different. For corners, you can use R moves, D moves, and F moves. And for setup moves on corners, you only need 1 or 2 setup moves. So it's a little bit easier than edges. Now for an example on corners. So this piece right here is in the buffer, and it's the blue sticker that we're looking at. So the blue of blue, white, and red, that will be right there. So to move that to the target, we can do just like that. Then we swap and undo. Next, we have this piece right here in the buffer, which is the white of white, red, and green. That would be right here. So to set that up, we can do that. And then we swap and then undo. Next is the green of green, white, and orange. That's right there in the green side. And then we swap. Just like that. And now we have one more corner up here. That is the orange of orange, yellow, and green. That will be right there. You can set that up like that, and then swap. Now, as we can see, once again, we have the buffer in the buffer position. So this piece is supposed to be here. So just like with edges, we just pick any unsolved piece. So we'll just pick this one, because it's already in the target. So we just swap, Now we have the yellow of red, blue, and yellow. That's right there. Just like that. And now we'll swap that one back to there. And now you can see that the piece is back there, but we have another twisted corner. And once again, just like with edges, we just solve this like usual. This one's not solved, so we can put that and swap to it, just like that. And then that piece goes to there. So we just solve it like normal, swap it, and there we have corners done. So now that you know how to execute the Theory blindfolded memorization, let's learn how to actually memorize the cube. So first, we have to learn the Speffz lettering scheme for the Theory Rubik's Cube. And how this works is that each sticker on the Rubik's Cube gets its own letter, and we split the corners and the edges up into its own system. So for edges, the system goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X. And then for corners, it is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X. And now let's get to actually memorizing these letters. So here we have an example. So here we will memorize both edges and corners. So we'll start with this, our buffer for edges. That goes to here, which is V, which goes to here, which is P. So we have VP. And then P goes to here, which is Q. So Q and Q is the buffer. So you just pick any random piece that's unsolved or that we have not gone to yet. So we'll pick D. So QD. So we have VP, QD. And then D goes to C, which is right here. And C goes to K. So CK. And K goes to E. And that's that cycle done. We're back to this piece, which is already solved. So we'll pick another one. And we'll pick R. So R goes to here, which is S. S goes to G, which is right here. And then G goes to H. And H we've already done because that's the same thing as R. Then we have just a few left. We have this piece right here, which is a flip. So we might go T and then N. So we have 4 edges: VP, QD, CK, ER, SG, HT, M. And then for corners, we look at our buffer right here. It starts off with a U and then an N. So UN. And then that goes to there, which is H. And that goes to there, which is V. And then this piece goes to there, which is T. And then T is the buffer. And what's left is this piece right here, which we will go to M, and then we'll go C. So for corners, we have UN, HV, TM, C. Now, you might be wondering, how am I going to remember all this? But there is a really, really easy way. So for each pair of letters, so for edges, we have VP as a pair, QD as a pair, CK as a pair, ER as a pair, SG as a pair, HT as a pair, and then we have just N. So what we do is, with each pair, we make a word from it. So VP might become a viper, or maybe a snake. Then QD could become Quidditch from Harry Potter. CK, cook. And then ER might be an ear. SG could be a Segway. HT, a hat. And then N, well, I usually don't do anything with N, I just remember N. But then, with these pairs, or letter pair of words, we make a picture or a story out of it. So with VP, which is Viper, QD, which is Quidditch, and CK, which is Cook, I might picture a viper or a snake playing Quidditch with a chef's hat on. So the viper with a chef's hat on playing Quidditch. And then for ear, Segway, hat, an ear on a Segway with a hat on. And then N. I should just remember N. And then for corners, UN could become, I don't know, the United Nations logo. HV, hive. So a beehive maybe with the United Nations logo on. And then TM, Tim. Maybe Tim Hortons. Eating one of those, whatever they're called, donut things. Tim Hortons donuts. I forget what they're called. But then that's how we remember it. Because pictures are easier to remember than just a string of words. But you can also make stories out of it. So the viper was playing Quidditch with a cook. Could also work. But it's really up to preference. One last thing before I forget. If you memorize an odd amount of letters for both edges and corners, so you will either get both odd or both even. If you memorize an odd amount of letters for edges and corners, you have to do a parity algorithm between the two steps. And that parity algorithm goes like this. It is the normal R perm, the RA perm for 3x3. So it goes like this. R, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U, R, D, R prime, U prime, R prime, R, D prime, R, U2, R prime, and then one last U prime at the end. And remember, you only do this if you have an odd amount of corners and edges memorized. So let's go through a walkthrough solve, and this is the same scramble as before. And that scramble will be right there or in the description if you want to follow along. So remember, green front, white top, or however you want to hold it. And we'll start right here with our buffer for edges. Buffer goes to V, and V goes to P right here. That's Viper. P goes to Q right here, and that is the buffer. So we'll pick any random piece that's unsolved, and I'll pick D. So Viper, and then QD, which is Quidditch. D goes to C, and C goes to K. So Viper, Quidditch, and then Cook. And then Cook goes back up to the buffer. So then we can pick any random piece that we want. And we'll pick R. So R goes to, ER. So that's ear. And then R to S, and S to G. So ear, Segway. And then H, which is the same as R. And then we have H goes to any random piece that's unsolved, because that's the end of our cycle. And that would be this piece. I'll go with T. So hat, and then N. So for memo, we have a Viper playing Quidditch with a chef's hat on, and then an ear on a Segway with a hat on, and then N. And now we can see that we have an odd number of edges solved, or memoed, which means that we will have parity. So we gotta remember to do parity. Next, we'll do corners. So that's right here. And here's our buffer. Buffer goes to U, and U goes to there, which is N. Then N goes to here, which is H, and H goes to V. So that's UN and HV. UN becomes the United Nations logo, and HV becomes Hive. And then Hive, so the V goes to there, which is T, and T is the buffer. Then we'll pick any random unsolved piece, and there's only one corner left that's flipped, so we'll go M. So TM, which is Tim Hortons Timmets, that's what they were called. And then M goes to C. So we have memoed right. We have the same amount of corners and edges memoed, so we know we do that right. And it is an odd amount, so we do have parity. And now to solving. So we go back to our memo. Let's start with edges. So V, where's V? V is right here. So V, put that up, swap, and then undo. And remember, this is when we should have our blindfolds on. And then V goes to P, because Viper, P is right here. So we bring that up, swap, moving it down and back. Then we have Quidditch, which is Q, that's right there. So we can set that up like that, swap, and bring it back, because now it's solved. And then we have D, and D is just our target, so there's no setup. After D, or Viper Quidditch, we have Cook, so that's going to be a C, so we can move that down, over and up, down, over and up. And then we have the K, so that's down, over, up, swap, down, over, and up. Then after that we have E, which is right there. And remember that E is not the same thing as D, and D is not the same thing as E. We want to go to E, not D. So we're not going to swap to there, we're going to swap to there. So we have to bring that up like that. There we go. After E, we have R, because of ear, like we memorized, which is right there. That's R. Swap, and back down. After that, we have S, which is right there, which we can set up like that. Swap, down once again. After that, we have G, which is right there, which you can set up like that. And after G, we have hat. So after Segway, we have hat. H is right there. So we'll set that up like that. And then we have T, like that. And then finally we have N right there. And now remember that we had parity. So we have to do the parity algorithm, which is an RA perm. So let's just do that. There we go. And now we can start with corners. And for corners, we had the UN logo. So U, N right there, set up like that, and then undo. After that, we had hive. So H is right there. We're going to set that up by doing A, D prime, R, swap, undo, undo. After H, we had V, which is just the target. So we can just do that. After V, we have Tim Hortons. So TM, T is right there. That's simple setup. And then we had M right here. That's another simple setup. And finally we have C right there. And undo, undo. And now you know how to solve the 3x3 blindfolded. And that's it. Now you know the basics of how to solve a 3x3 Rubik's Cube blindfolded using the old Pochmann method or the OP method. It might feel overwhelming at first, but believe me, it took me a couple of weeks of unsuccessful attempts. But with some practice, you will get your first success. And yeah, at the start, it is challenging. If I just show you my CS timer here, 40 of 99 solves were actually solves. Like, I actually solved it. So yeah, it's okay if you're not 100%ing your success rate. Even the best blinders solve at around 1/3 success rate, and that's what you should be aiming for. But in the beginning, you will DNF a lot. You just keep working and you will get that first solve. And yeah, I found out today that 92.6% of you guys watching are not subscribed. So yeah, if you found this tutorial helpful, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment any tips, tricks, or ideas. And good luck with your blindfolding journey, and I'll see you all in the next one.